Okay, Buck, and we're back after some technical difficulties. Buck's headset decided just to die. So if we end up losing Buck halfway through this, well, that's why. Our next story comes from WTSP Tampa's News 10. Florida woman took Mexican workers' passports to force them into physical labor. A Florida woman has pled guilty to a federal racketeering conspiracy of subjecting Mexican workers to thousands of hours of forced labor through coerced tactics for financial gain. The release from the Department of Justice explains that my story just jumped off the page here. A release from the Department of Justice explains that 43-year-old Cristina Gamez worked as a bookkeeper, manager, and supervisor at Los Valleros Harvesting, LVH, a company contracting and employing Mexican H-2A temporary visa recipients harvesting fruits and vegetables in several states, including Florida. In her role, she conspired with the company's owner from March 2016 through August of 2017 to commit several racketeering offenses, including subjecting workers to forced labor, harboring people after their... Why does my news story keep jumping off the screen? There we go. After their temporary H-2A visas have expired for financial gain and committing visa fraud, according to the release. Department of Justice says Gomez and her co-conspirators used tactics like confiscating workers' passports, forcing them into crowded and unsanitary and degrading living conditions, and isolating workers from interacting with people from the company, and subjecting workers to work debt and manipulation. Though the Department of Justice says they obtained thousands of hours of physically demanding agricultural labor, all for de minimis pay, she has admitted, and according to the plea agreement, she knowingly sent falsified records to federal investigators to cover up the criminal enterprise. Gamez faces a maximum of 20 years in federal prison and a fine up to $250,000 as part of her plea agreement. She has also agreed to pay more than $9,000 in restitution to the workers. A date for Gamez's sentencing has not been set. What do you think, Buck?
Um, I would say that this is a real slice of shit, like like right from the heel of the turd. I mean, like this woman, talk about some of the most disgusting and despicable things that you could do to another human being. And it's just one of the most disgusting things. They 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 exploit these people, and they trick them with like dreams of grandeur and the great American dream and coming up here and making money and being able to send it back down to their family. And they can give them a place to live and put them up and really take care of them, to be a part of the family, and then they get up there and they're putting like these concrete chicken coops to to basically slave away for a pittance,
Yeah, see,
and
where we were,
and that's it.
where we used to live in Pennsylvania, it was really known for apple. It was an apple orchards, Apple Capital USA, and we would see the migrant workers come in every fall to pick apples. Everyone just called them, there's the apple pickers. It really became a derogatory mark for Mexicans at that point, but it's what it was. And they would come up, and you'd see these in the older orchards. You'd still see some of the remaining remains of them, but you would see these long cinder block buildings that on one side would just be nothing but doors to a room no bigger than this studio that I'm in right now. I mean, it's big enough for maybe a twin bed and a dresser, and that was probably about it. Not much else
A
is
concrete chicken coop.
a concrete chicken coop is probably a good way of describing it. And they were made of cinder block. I doubt there was any insulation in them or anything. And I'm not even sure if there was a window. There might have been a window on the backside. That's right. No air conditioning, no heat, no nothing like that. They had electric because you'd see them down there having parties at night, but they weren't inside the houses. That was for sure. They were outside, and
They threw some badass parties, man. They do. I'm letting you know, at those migrant worker places out in PA where we used to live. Oh man, excellent food. Some of the most welcoming people that you'll ever encounter in your life. and they're constantly stomped on and treated like shit. And apparently down in this place in fucking Florida, they take your passports too. What did,
In
what's wrong
fairness,
with the
most of the places in Pennsylvania where they were working, they probably didn't have passports. But this is tantamount to the same thing. They're actually taking the folks that went through the trouble of getting the work visas and coming in and doing everything the way they're supposed to, and then they're fucking them for it essentially.
I bet you they're holding their passports hostage so that way they don't ask for like fair wages.
Or fair living conditions, or the fact that they couldn't then quit their jobs. They would probably say, no, if you try to do anything that we tell you not to do, we'll turn you in as an illegal. But they don't know any better that as soon as they check their biometrics, it's going to pop up that they have a passport and a work visa. But it's just you're getting slave labor. That's exactly what it is. It's slave labor. You're paying them something that anybody with an American citizenship wouldn't even give you the time of day to work for, and you're making it so they can't leave. It's slavery.
Yeah. I really don't have very much. I'm not going to dignify this kind of behavior with much more of a comment other than screaming 5 all the way to all day long on this woman too.
Give it a 5. Our next story comes from TampaBay.com, the Tampa Bay Times. Gas theft ring stole at least $60,000 in Hillsborough to resell. This is the thing now, man. We're stealing gasoline. Hell, in the town that I'm in, we have a serial catalytic converter thief. Someone is going around to vehicles from companies have them parked out overnight, and they're cutting the catalytic converters off with a sawzall, and I don't know where they're selling them, but they are. But yeah, so now we've got devolved to the point now we're stealing gasoline. This happened in Tampa. The resale market for anything at the right price. A local gas theft ring banked on its belief in February when it turned vacant Tampa lots into impromptu gas stations for selling stolen fuel. Hillsborough Sheriff Chad Chronister said on Monday. A group of 7 enjoyed success initially. More than $60,000 in fuel was illegally pumped from 2 Circle K stations in Apollo Beach and Ruskin on February 25th, and then transported to vacant lots near Tampa International Airport in the Orient Road Jail to be sold at a discount. That's some balls right there. Chronister said the operation came to a close last week, however, when the 6 men involved were arrested on racketeering and grand theft charges. The sheriff suspects a 7th suspect, 44-year-old William Panetta something, likely fled to Cuba. Those arrested are Luis Hernandez, Albert Gomez, Nestor Rodriguez, Javier Panetta, and Jesus Andres Perez something. I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. And Dennis Vazquez. The 3 men were taken into custody at Hillsborough, Sumter, Orange, and Marion counties. The Circle K's involvement were at, and it gives the addresses nobody cares about. Chronister detailed how the organized crime ring was able to steal so much gas. 7 cars used a single pump on and off for 12 hours, while a homemade pulsar device kept the bill near or at $0. The group's homemade pulsar, which replaced the equipment on the gas pump, which regulates the price, was made from a block of wood, a steering rod, and a battery with an electrical board. The men used it to pump thousands of dollars worth of gasoline into large bladders inside the beds of their trucks and stored the fuel. The drivers would then take the fuel to lots of pumps and delivered it into gasoline reservoir. 7 trucks were used at each station. The men ensured that they kept using vehicles away from the pump with their homemade pulsar. Hillsborough deputies also alerted to the ring in February when both the Circle K's reported more than $25,000 in fuel discrepancies. Detectives, when responding to the stations, reviewed surveillance video which showed the group's process and the trucks that they drove. Chronister said that they were perplexed how employees at both gas stations were unaware what was happening, but conceded they were both busy with customers and food inside the fuel outside. Detectives then concluded surveillance of the group while they sold the fuel. Chronister said the pricing was discounted, but the group still lined their pockets. When local gas prices were at their highest, he said that the fuel sold for near $3 per gallon at one point. Those who purchased the fuel from the men likely knew it was stolen, Cronster said, but it would be a stretch to say that they acted criminally, so no charges would be filed against the customers. He said it was likely just taking advantage of a way to save money amid the recent gas hikes in prices. The sheriff said that the six don't mark the end of the investigation, however. He said similar thefts have occurred in Pinellas, Pasco, and Hernando counties and are also unsolved and are likely connected to these men, and deputies will continue to search for leads. Of the 7 men involved, Cronster said 5 lived in Hillsborough County and 2 in Orlando. Damn. They did it with a block of wood, just the description of how they did it is just kind of perplexing to me. Where does one acquire the knowledge to build a pulsar that can hack a gas pump?
The internet.
Probably.
I mean, I'm 10 years ago, I'd have looked at you and said the internet is for porn. Today, I just can't really say it with that much gusto and confidence anymore. You know, the internet has grown up a little bit. It can be used for more than porn.
Indeed.
Apparently, porn and pulsars are the first 2 things on the list now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ingenuitive. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how do you even find out where the gas is for sale? Do they post it somewhere online? Like, hey, meet us in the parking lot behind the jail. We're selling gas out of the bit of a truck. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
how do you advertise? It's just, I don't know. It just seems bizarre to me. But, nevertheless, they wouldn't do it if they weren't making money at it. So that means they did have customers.
Right. You know, not really. I mean, it's just a bunch of Florida guys. This is Florida, right?
Of course it's Florida.
Okay, just making sure, just double checking. But it's just a couple of Florida guys, you know, being Florida guys. Shark's gonna shark.
A shark's gonna shark, and a Florida man's gonna Florida man.
That's pretty much about it. I mean, I would say maybe a 3.
I'm going to give them a 4 because it is a substantial amount of money. And it's also very, very dangerous what they were doing. But again, nobody was physically hurt, so I can't give them the 5. So I'll give them the 4. That being said, folks, that's going to bring us to an end of another episode. We typically put out episodes every Saturday and Wednesday. I do not know if there'll be a Wednesday episode this week because of Buck's technical problems over on his end. But once we get that sorted out, we'll make that determination. But if there isn't a Wednesday episode, you can catch us back here next Saturday. So you can. One of my advice is usually is listen to episode 107 twice, just in case, because it definitely would help our numbers. If you like the podcast, remember to like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Check out our YouTube channel where our episodes are getting archived as well. And I am the Razgrees with my co-host the Buck, wishing you all a happy and safe weekend.